guys. This is obviously humbling to be asked to come talk to a group like y'all's, right? Y'all come from a great legacy of RVPs, a ton of success. I mean, y'all have a great hierarchy to be a part of, right? So we're super humbled to be out here to speak to you guys tonight. Mainly what they want us to kind of cover with you guys is talking about environment, creating environments. So Natalie's going to kind of talk about that, the different types of environment. She's going to talk about like family environment. She's going to talk about obviously welcoming, winning, competitive, all these different things that we do in order to create that environment where people want to keep coming back. So she's going to do that. She's got a few slides to show some of our team, some of the different things that we do with them. And then what I'm going to come up and talk about is, again, just building and recruiting. A lot of this stuff, I mean, obviously, is going to be, y'all kind of heard throughout the night. A lot of it's the same stuff, the same message, because we're all builders, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, it might be things that you've heard before, but maybe it's from a different perspective.
Yeah.
I definitely think, not every leader says it the exact same way, and not every person needs to hear it the same way. So, not all of you will probably get it from me. I'm definitely not Primerica's poster boy by any means. I'm probably the last person they want teaching any of this crap. But anyway, so hopefully 2 or 3 of you guys will speak my language, and it'll help you guys out. So Natalie's going to come up and talk about our environment. Give it up for Natalie.
Woo! Yeah!
Honestly, we are super humble, just like Dave was saying. And secondly, Chris is a freaking firecracker. Like every time we hear them talk, like David said, hey, Trey asked for us to talk. I was like, Trey, Chris, I was like, heck yeah, they're freaking awesome. But they came and talked to us when we were in the bake shop with the Triple C. And so we definitely love you guys and thank you guys for choosing us to speak to your organization. So basically, I want to kind of talk to you guys about, just like Dave says, the environment. So you click the first slide. The first one that we talk about is the family environment. So these are just a couple of goofy pictures of our guys. The guys, basically, when it comes to our environment, first things first, whenever your newest person comes in for like the interview, we always have like positive music playing, whether we have like Christian EDM playing, right, or we have like the 90s playing. We always have like a different thing going on, so people could feel comfortable, right? Because would you guys agree everybody enjoys listening to music? Right?
Yeah.
And so when they come in, it's not just an average like job interview, right? It's like, oh man, this place is a little different, right? Literally, we have our office like decked out for Thanksgiving. Last month we had it like for Halloween, right? And so next month is about to be crazy, right? We're about to have Christmas decorations up the roofs, all right? And guys, it's literally like just making people feel comfortable in the environment that they're walking into, right? The second thing is just introducing them to your leaders. So we have like our full-time guys. So anytime we bring on a new stud, we always introduce them to who our full-timers are, who's out there killing it in the team, or who's like brand new, already off to a fast start, like, hey, this is so-and-so. And then we even have like new associates as hierarchy, where we have that opportunity to introduce them, brag to them to Whitney and Rock, you know what I mean? So we utilize our uplines to bring the environment to our guys to know, hey, this is a family business. We talk about how literally Whitney and Rob were the best men and maid of honor of our wedding. Just like Michael was saying, like, this is a family business. Like, literally the weddings, right, is like legit. Our whole bridesmaids, our whole men, right, they're all movement. We're all Primericans. You know what I mean? None of them were my family, right? And so another one is GroupMe. So we use GroupMe as a way of communication outside of talking to them face to face, outside of obviously giving them a phone call. But GroupMe is just a way that once we have somebody brand new come onto the team, we go ahead and tell them, hey, download GroupMe real quick. We're about to blast your phone real quick, right? So we say, hey guys, welcome David to the team. He's super excited to get started and build the business and be free. So everyone's like, welcome. Oh my God, excited. You know what I mean? And literally just blasting their phone. And you guys would agree, most people aren't used to that much positivity, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so I don't know if you guys have heard, when a child blasts, right, it's like the cutest thing. Their smile's the cutest thing, right? When an adult does, it's like, creep, get away from me, right?
Yeah.
I've witnessed that before, right? And so we take a look at that. We use GroupMe as a way to make people feel welcome into the environment. Another thing is we have a really diverse environment, kind of like you guys do as well. And so we always say, hey, we want to be like the United Nations, man. We have anybody from anywhere. We don't care about their background, right? Obviously, they have a past background. But we really don't care where they came from. You know what I mean? We're open to anybody coming onto the business. We love having potlucks, right? Where we get to kind of hear about the different cultures and things like that. Another thing is we tailgate with our guys when it comes to like the classes, right? So for the pre-licensing classes, we meet them there. In the morning, we have like breakfast for them. Something we're starting to do is that at the end of class, we're also going to meet them there, right? And they have their classes out in Fort Worth, so we'll make that drive to be there in the morning, and we'll be there at night just to be able to meet with them. One, make sure they complete a class, right? And secondly, just be able to put another hand on them and just let that we do is that we like to meet their spouses as soon as possible. So once we know they're dating somebody, once we know that they're married, whatever the case is, because we agree building a business takes time, right?
Right.
And so we want to make sure we want to get in front of their better half as soon as possible, so that way that person knows who they're about to be spending their time with, right? And so just building that trust factor, just like a family would. Same thing, they have kiddos and stuff like that. We'll introduce them to our kids. And then just being available for your team. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to have your whole schedule like free, right? Because that means you're being unproductive, right? But just being available. They give you a call and you're busy at that time, make sure you give them a call back, right? If they send you a text message, hey, I've been thinking, right? You better call them right away, right? And so just being available to them. If you click on the next slide. And so just creating a fun environment, right? And so we like to have fun with our guys. We do like crazy things, get together for the holidays. We'll go out to go dancing, right? We'll go out to do a potluck. We'll go to the comedy club. We had carved pumpkins. Last month we like to go play sand volleyball. We like to dress up, right? We do like party bus things. For those of you who follow, like anybody on the Triple C has seen like different pictures like that. We went to Studio 80. I don't know if you guys heard of that before, but we literally dressed up in the 80s style. We're the only group to do that, so we like to stand out too. And so, and I'm not saying you have to do all this, but we love to have a fun environment. And so, and the neat thing about it is that building a business, you're gonna have different type of people, right? You're gonna have your 1 and 2 pointers, but you're also gonna have your qualified people, right? And so the neat thing about it is that we run literally a team event almost every single weekend, right? And usually we have like one bye week, but we always want to get in front of our people. So we'll have like one with our partners. So we'll do like a partnership dinner, we'll do like a different event. Tomorrow night I'm gonna hang out with our headhunters girls, right? We call them, I call them gems. And so I'll be hanging out with my gems tomorrow. We'll be doing like pink twists at the office. We do things with our team captains, right? So with our inner circle, or we'll do something with the hierarchy as a whole. Whatever the case is, we're always constantly getting in front of our guys. And one thing you gotta know, guys, is that your 1 and 2 pointers, they're gonna be out with or without you, right? And so they have their loser friends, right? And so if you have an opportunity to have them hang out with you, where you're gonna be pouring belief into them, you're gonna be able to pour energy and positivity into their life and helping them dream, right? Why not take advantage of that, right? Especially if you have nothing going on, right? And then secondly, right, if you have your qualified people and married, they have kids, who are parents in the room? So a couple of you guys, do you guys agree we need some breaks every once in a while, right?
Amen.
And so guys, that's a great way to have mommy and daddy day out, right? And so just means to get them out with the team and get them around other parents, get them around other teammates. And so we take advantage of doing stuff like that. We literally do as small as like a potluck, all the way to we've done a citywide scavenger hunt a couple times and it's gone crazy.
Wow.
Before I was gonna put a picture up earlier, but there was one where we'll have like you kiss a random bald-headed man, right? And so, or you'll dress up a fire extinguisher. Like we go crazy, you know what I mean? We go all out. And I want to share that because, you know, it's different. Because how many of you guys are kissing bald head? No, I was kidding. Things like that, you know, we like to be creative. Another thing, guys, is we like to share with our guys that obviously you can work hard, but you can play hard. Can you go to the next one, please? So right here, guys, you gotta create a competitive environment, right? And so here is a couple pictures where in the hierarchy, we are real big competitors. The same thing like you guys were showing earlier. We do have a traveling trophy as well, which for the whole year, there's only been 1 month that our organization has not held it, right? But we came back, obviously, took that crap back. But basically, guys, we are competitive and we drive that into our people because we have pride. I don't know about you guys, but I have pride in my team, right? And who I represent as an individual. And so one of the things we share with our guys is that, one, you got to be able to be competitive within your base shop, right? So we like to do like head-to-heads, and so people usually call other people out, whether it's a direct challenge, whether it's a challenge sport challenge, or whatever the case is. We do head-to-heads, and there's always a winner and there's always a loser, right? So kind of give you guys an example, we had like this month, we had a couple of our like newest guys, our districts going head-to-head for directs, and the losers gonna get pied in the face, right? We have our newest person who's doing like another direct challenge because we're focused on directs smoking wine, right? We have our other guys, they're about to do like an ice water challenge, right? Or ice bucket challenge, right? And then David and I, last month, we did an op night attendance. So it was my first time running op night without David. And so we ran a competition who had the biggest team. And, you know, it just makes sense because we're both like equal, right? That we had the equal freaking amount of attendance. And so we don't take it, you know, 1-1, right? We take ties as losses. And so everyone got silly stripped, right? And so we do little things like that, just be able to keep a a competitive environment going on. We breathe being number one into our guys, just letting them know, hey, that's the norm. Same thing for like fast start schools, right? I'm sure you guys being plugged in have seen like Triple C, and that should piss you guys off. If I'm honest, right? I don't know how many people are new, how many guys veterans.
No, we pissed. We pissed.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I've been pissed off, and I'd go do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that we drive into our guys, just making sure that, hey, even within our own like hierarchy, fast start schools, like we rub it in our guys' faces, like, oh, so you're gonna be passing them the trophy, right? Oh, so you're gonna clap for them? That's nice, right? Look at your team clapping for someone else's leader, right?
Dang.
Little things like that. We like to instigate it a little bit, but in a positive way, right? For those who, you know what I mean, in a positive way, just a little bit, right? And then, so we do some stuff like that. We have the fight club. We utilize that, right? So we're, like for example, like we're call out. I don't know if you guys know who Kazi is. We don't know who he is, but we see him on the scoreboard, right? So we call him out, and that's where our target is right now for the month. You know what I mean? We've seen him on the leaders board. He was number 2 for recruits. We're number 3 for recruits, and we're pissed. You know what I mean? We lost and we take a loss, but we definitely didn't let him destroy us. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing that we let our guys know is that, hey, you gotta have your target on somebody and go after them, right? Another thing is we have like our licensed, unlicensed competitions, things like that too. So we run contests where we have our people. We do party boats, right? So we do like double decker boat contests. We do contests. We're taking our guys to holiday in the park this month. We're doing, I don't know if you guys have heard of Campo Verde out in Arlington, but it's this decked out restaurant where you feel like Santa lives there. Like you're living in the North Pole, it's totally decked out, and a lot of people have never been there. So we're running different contests like that. But we're constantly using the contest with the company, right? So the 1x1s, right, to get the draft pick. We do our own inner contest because the facts are not everyone's going to win the draft pick, right? But at least they can win something within your base shop, within your team, right? And early on, since we're districts, we've always run contests for our guys. It doesn't have to be an expensive one either, but we've always ran something for our guys. And so you click the next one, please. Last one's a winning environment, right? So here's just a couple pictures within our team, within the hierarchy, in regards to what we feel is a winning environment. And coming from a winning hierarchy, we felt like we had to carry the torch, you know what I mean, to make sure that we're leading by example. And again, in the base shop, we've always been the top recruiters in the base shop. You know what I mean? We hold that title, and we hold it as a hierarchy. So we want to make sure that we're leading by example to be able to show our guys what winning feels like, right? But also visualizing it in front of them, right? So right here we have the poster of the dome of the convention, right? Where they sent that out to all the RP offices. So I had all of our full-timers, even some of our part-timers, right on there what their goals are. You can't really see that clear on this picture, but a lot of them's like, I want to be RP at this point, I want to be regional, I want to be division, stuff like that. We have that hanging in our office so people could hold themselves accountable and start seeing themselves like that's what they're getting recognized for at the convention, right? Guys, we're literally less than 240 days, right, to be able to go make this happen. And so we constantly put that in front of our guys and, hey, this is what winning feels like, right? And so we also talk about like self-improvement. So obviously to be able to have a winning environment, you have to make sure you're constantly self-improving, right? Because if you're not self-improving, your team can definitely tell, right? And so I don't know about you guys, but have you ever woke up feeling completely lazy, not wanting to do anything, feeling kind of uggish, like just nasty, right?
Yep.
And guys, that's because you're not self-improving, right? And I'm guilty of it as well. My worst days have been whenever I haven't picked up a book, whenever I haven't listened to an audio, and my team could feel that, right? And so that's something else. The last thing, guys, is just having standards and expectations, right? So whenever you're creating a winning environment, you have to make sure you have expectations, right? So our full-timers, they come to the office before 9 a.m., right? If they come afterwards, we call leadership on them just because they said they were going to be here full-time, so we expect them to be here full-time, not full-time, right? And so we want to make sure we hold that expectation with them as well. And so that's it on my end. Just wanted to share a little bit about the environments that we're looking to create within our organization, allowing it to be open for a part-time base, a full-time base, and obviously to go or repeat, right? So good.
Yep, that's good stuff.
Cool. I'm gonna go through some stuff too. First thing I want to say though is because this is like licensed people or people that y'all are all in business, right? Like this is, there's nobody new in here. So there's a bunch of people like not taking notes, which is crazy to me. In my organization, I would call you out in front of everybody, which is nuts. You know what I mean? I can't believe Natalie was dropping nuggets and I saw people like not writing it down. Like you're not gonna remember it. You You know that?
Yeah.
You're not going to. You only remember 25% of what's said. Oddly, right? Only 25%. So that means 75% of the greatness that was dropped in here tonight, you don't get. Like, that's crazy, right? How are you ever going to beat me? You won't. This is why I kick like so many people's butts in this business is because you just don't do the little stuff. Like the little thing, like how hard is it to put pen to paper? Like it's not difficult, you know what I mean? But because you won't do that is why the company's not going to pay you $8, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, because if you can't do the little things, they're not going to pay you big money, right? It's the same thing like in like the Marine Corps. Why is it in the Marine Corps the first thing they have to do is get up and like make their bed? Because if you can't do the little things, you can't do the big things, right? At least if the day goes to shit, I come back to a made bed. Does that make sense?
Right.
So that's like the mentality that we have. So I definitely would be taking notes for sure. Let's see, guys. So cool. So recruit to build versus recruiting to get an idea. This is what Trey wanted me to talk to you guys about, or at least one of the things. And so, right. So recruiting isn't about paying your bills, right? And a lot of you guys probably think about it that way, which is why you don't recruit big numbers, which is why when you get a recruit, you get so focused on that person and let me get this person 5, 10, 15 appointments set and boom, 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 and you ride that person until they die, and next thing you know, they're out the door, right? If you really were recruiting because of what recruiting's for, which is to impact somebody's life, which to leave a legacy for your family, right? That's what recruiting's all about, right? Is changing people's lives, changing your lives, creating legacy. And if you really believe that, then you wouldn't recruit just one person and never do anything with them, or just recruit one person and ride them to death, right? So, you know, a couple things like that we use for recruiting. So this is how you can tell you're a builder, right? So whenever you're recruit somebody, number one, if you don't have them scheduled back in within the next 24 to 48 hours, you're probably not a builder, right? Because you've got to understand that the longer they're away from you, the more their fire burns out, right? Like, because life's going to happen, right? Somebody's going to be in their ear, right? And if it's not you, it's probably somebody negative. Like Natalie said, if they're not hanging out with you, especially millennials, right, then they're hanging out with their loser friends, right? And what are they talking about? If we're being honest, like raise your hand in here if you're a millennial. Like most of the room, hands should go up, right? So most of the room, right? So what are your friends outside of Primerica? What are they talking about?
Girls.
Like girls,
Drugs.
And what like
Music.
this hip hop artist did, and what this hip hop artist did, and what this, you know what I mean? A bunch of garbage, like literally a bunch of like media garbage, right? And so if they're not with you, that's the kind of stuff that's getting in their head. And then when they try to say something big, you know, they start to talk big, act different. Then what's going to happen? That group of people that they're around are going to freaking beat them down until they come back down to their level. It's the crab in the bucket theory, right? If you have multiple crabs in a bucket, you have to put a lid on it. No. Why? Because when one crab tries to crawl out, the rest of them are going to grab them and pull them back down with them, right? That's society, right? That's the people that they're hanging with, right? So if you don't get them around you quickly, you can't diffuse those things that they're being told. So within 24 to 48 hours, we bring people back in. You know, our goal in the first week of bringing somebody in is that we're going to spend like 12 to 15 hours with them, right? So I think you have to if you're going to build a relationship. Like you said, relationships aren't built, you know, on a quick touch here, quick touch there. It's over time. If you have to really get to know your people, and you can't do that without spending any kind of real time with them. So, you know, I always get the question, well, David, how do you spend 12 to 15 hours with somebody in a week when you got all these people to, you know, to deal with? You got a base shop, you got meetings to set up for, you got conference calls to run, and our schedule's probably busier than, you know, 90% of the people in this room, because we really are doing stuff every single day. We run 4 trainings a week, which I'll touch on. We go through op night. We run trainings for Whitney's organization for the hierarchy. Natalie's a part of our partnership leadership board. She's like the head council member for that, for Triple C. So every month she's organizing calls from different partners around the country, you know, usually $1 million earners, different stuff like that, having them do a conference call for us. So she's running those things. Plus we're planning events, potlucks, plus we have 3 children. So we are doing 1,000 different things at all times of the day, right? But we still find a way to spend 12 to 15 hours with them, because if you really look at it, now, and again, I'm not big on telling people our system, because then, you know, you've got system jumpers that want to go do this, do that. Whatever your system is, it works, but this is how we get 12 to 15 hours in. So we do an interview system. So we do a first part, second part, third part interview system. Again, whatever you do it, but this is how we get, you know, this is how we recruit. So, you know, the first part of that is maybe 30 to 45 minutes. The next part of that's about an hour to 15 minutes. and hour and 15, and the next part's about an hour. So total, you got like 2 hours and 45 minutes, 3 hours spent just in the recruiting process, right? Of getting that person through the door, building a relationship, finding out about their spouse, finding out about their kids, if they're a college student, finding out about what extracurriculars they're involved in, what classes they're taking, I mean, really indulging in them and finding out who they are, right? Just in the interview process. Then we're going to get them, and of course during that time, right, we're doing all kinds of things. I mean, we're calling and setting appointments. I mean, we're doing all that kind of stuff, right? Then we get them up to op night, right? Get them up to op night. Op night's another, 2.5 to 3 hours, depending, because we do the first part of op night, is all, who we are, what we do, talking about the business. That's for about an hour. Then we got another hour of recognition and competition, where we're going over the contests that we're running for the month. And like Natalie said, from the very beginning, we would run contests, right? So if you're in this room right now and you're a district, that doesn't mean you get out of running contests for your people. They're just little contests. We used to run things to give like a racetrack gift card, or we'd run a contest to give away like a QT gift card, or like a McDonald's gift card, or Starbucks, or you know what I mean, or we give away a shirt, or we do like just little stuff, you know what I mean? Now we do that in our op night where we announce all those contests. So if I were you and I don't have my own individual op night, I would have my own little team breakout meeting at least once a week where we're talking about those contests that we're running for our team, which ultimately are going to lead you to winning the big contest. Does that make pretty good sense?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we spend another 2.5, 3 hours there with them. Then we do the dinners that you saw on that slide, right? So we have a dinner after every op night. Where all of our full-time people go to. It's not like optional, you know what I mean? If you're full-time in our business, like you go to that, and your goal is to grow that attendance too, right? So you're growing your meeting attendance, then you're growing the dinner attendance, which is the meeting after the meeting. You're growing your full-timers attendance on the Monday managers meeting. You're growing your attendance for Grow for Skills. You're constantly watching your attendance in all these areas, right? So if you get them to come to that dinner with you, that's an extra hour minimum of time you got to spend with them the first week, right? If you get them out on training appointments quickly, right? If you're training them 2 to 3 days, right? 2 appointments a night, right? You're going to spend at least another 2 to 3 hours with them there. So if you just do that twice, that's another 4 to 6 hours. And then if you do a team event on the weekend, right? So whether that's a girls' night, or that's a guys' night, or that's a couples' night, or that's a team event night, or like a base shop night, or it's a hierarchy night, we're going to spend another 3 to 4 hours with them on the weekend, right? So total, you add that up, minimum, you're going to spend like 12 hours with them. If you do on the high end, you'll spend like 16 hours with them. And you can do that with pretty much every person, because it doesn't just have to be me and him. It could be me, him, and her, and him. So I'm entertaining and getting to know all these people simultaneously. So I can do that with 3, 4, 5, 6 people all at the same time, right? And then just give them a little bit of individual time when we're going out with KT. So usually when I talk about that, people, they kind of give me the look like, damn, that's like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of work, a lot of attention. Man, I didn't come here to be a babysitter. Well, ultimately, this is a little bit of a babysitting business.
Right.
Right? And you know what I mean? You'll make enough to buy some Advil. I promise. Right? So, you know what I mean? So like, deal with the stupid questions. Deal with it, because at one point you were asking stupid questions.
That's right.
You probably still are, right? So you know what I mean? And it's okay. You know what I mean? We all have stupid questions, and those stupid questions need to get answered, so that way you can go to the next level, right? You've heard the saying that your leader's like a gatekeeper, and they got one of those big old key rings, right, kind of like the janitor does, and they got all the keys on there, and you come to a door and it's locked and you don't know how to get through. What do? You got to go to your leader. Now they transfer that key to you, and now you can get through that door and teach somebody else. Each one teaches one, right? So point is that you're going to have to kind of be a little bit of a babysitter. If you've ever heard my coach talk, Whitney, she talks about how each week in the business somebody is growing like a year old. So if you he said, I don't want to relate people in the business to babies, but when you come in, you are like a baby. You're like a little infant, right? So every week is like the equivalent of a year. So when you come in, you're like, the first week, you're like 1 year old. And then the second week, you're like 2 years old. And the third week, 3. And then at the end of the month, you're 4 years old. So every month, you're like about 4 years, right? About 2 months in the business, you're like 8. Right? Can you trust your 8-year-old a little more than you can your 4-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have a 9, a 7, and a 2. Trust me, you can, right? Like the 9-year-old, like I know, like if I turn around, he's not going to stick his finger in the light socket. But my 2-year-old, he might, right? He might do that, right? So there's a difference between your 1 month, person, and your 2 month person, and your 3 month person. After 90 days to 120 days, 3 to 4 months, they pretty much know everything that they need to know to be successful here. You can kind of start to wean them off the tip and let them do what they need to do, right? So, let's see here. Some other things that we do to make sure that we're building, not just getting IDAs and collecting IDAs, we get them plugged into licensing. right? Because ultimately, right, what do you want to grow?
Codes.
Right? You want to grow them codes, right? Why do you want to grow your codes?
More production.
Full-timers, right? More production, because every full-timer is going to bring you 3,000 in production consistently, right? If you have a full-timer, every full-timer averages about $3,000 worth of insurance premium sold in your base shop without really having to think about it, right? So you want to get codes, right? So when you get these ideas, you need to get them plugged into licensing, right? So Natalie's our licensing person, right? Heard a couple of girls take that on, and so plugging them into licensing means registering for them for class, like Natalie said, meeting in that class, making sure they have all their supplies, all that kind of stuff, making sure they have breakfast, water, all that kind of stuff, because it's a long class. And I'm going to meet them there at the end of the class and say, hey man, that's awesome, you made it through the first day, but you're going to be here for tomorrow, because tomorrow is the most important day, right? Making sure that I'm like plugging them into the next day, right? Because they got to finish both those 2 days, so I can get them into the actual testing center within the next 2 to 3 days after they come out of class, right? You got to get them plugged into POL, right? Use all your assets there, right? They got everything. You guys know all about that stuff. Have them plugged into study groups. So we run study groups at our office where, one of the girls will be up there. She'll be going through the book, having them take practice tests, stuff like this. This is not somebody that I pay. It's somebody on the team that has stepped up and said, hey, I want to be a part of the licensing program, right? And so as a base shop, we pull together, right? I don't necessarily have to pay my guys to run a study session for the entire base, right? They don't really worry about, wait, whose team are you on? You're on Natalie's team? Oh, wait, you can't come to this study group. But you're on Michael's team, you can't come to this study group. Oh, you're on my team? Yeah, me and you're going to study. No, we don't worry about that. We just get everybody in there, and then we get them studying. Now, if you don't have people in there, what's that do? It lights a fire under your ass so that you're like, yeah, next time I need to get somebody in here.
Right.
Because you don't want to be sitting there, if you're the tutoring everybody else's people and you ain't got nobody in there, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, dang, like I'm going to help these people because that's what I'm going to do because I'm a servant leader, right? And what goes around comes around. But ultimately, it makes you want to get more people in there, right? So we get them plugged into licensing. Like I said, we make it almost impossible to fail, even though a lot of them still do. They still do, man. They're going to do it. Drill for skill, right? So we do drill for skills. Like I said, we do a bunch of them. And again, I know y'all have so much room, like here. Like I'm just there's so much. You know what I would do with this building? Like I would have this thing packed with 1,000 freaking people. Like I swear, I was telling Chris that I'm like, I don't know how y'all don't have 1,000 people in this building. Because I promise you, if I had this facility, I would be out on the streets every night prospecting and talking to people, trying to get them inside this building. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? When Trey even called me and said, hey David, what you doing? Blah blah blah. I said, hey, I'm on the streets prospecting, right? He was like, wait, Dave, you're RVP, you're out prospecting? I was like, hell yeah, I'm prospecting. That's what got me here. I'm gonna keep doing it, right? So I mean, if I had this building like you guys, I'd be, there's so many places you could be running little trainings. If there's not a training that night, that doesn't mean you don't run a training.
Right.
Like, you're not Huffman. Like you're not.
Right.
Like, this is his. Right? So why are you taking that night off? You know what I mean? Not running a training with your 2 or 3 little people, or your 4 or 5 little people, or your one guy. Why are you not running a training with them if that's the only person you have to tend to? Right? Like Huffman can take the night off. You know what I mean? Which he probably get up here. I think I heard him earlier, right? But anyway, he can take the night off because he has this training going on, and that training going on, and that training going on, and that training going on. Until you have that, you need to be freaking running training. So we run trainings Monday mornings, Tuesday. We run it Saturday mornings, right? There's got to be somewhere that they can plug into. That way my guys can't tell me, David, I can't make it to training. All of them? You can't make it to all of them? Like, there's plenty. You pick one, right? You can't make it to all of them. You just don't want to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so ultimately, you guys got to be having some drill skills for your people. And then I was going to go over the buddy system, but I kind of did that. So we use that too. I mean, that's how we recruit. They asked, how are you recruiting large numbers? We use the buddy system. You bring me your PIC. You know what I mean? Who's your best friend? Awesome. I need to meet that guy like today, right? We need to get him in the door. And then he brings his best friend. Who brings his best friend? Who brings his best friend? And it starts to expand from there, right? So one of the things I guess I'll hit on, and then if you want to open it up, I guess we can do that. Trey asked me like how do you go and recruit 40, 50 people? You know what I mean? And ultimately, it's not focused on recruiting 40, 50 people. It's focused on getting the full-timers, because I know that for every 10 full-timers I have, I'm going to have 3 consistent double-digit recruiting wins. That's the numbers, right? So I'm not really focused on hitting 30, 40, 50, 60 recruits. I'm focused on bringing more people full-time so that I can get more people double-digit recruiting, so in return, then we'll get those 40, 50, 60, 100 recruits, right? So like right now we have 8 full-timers, right? So we have 8 full-timers, so we're not really surprised, right, that we're hitting, you know, the 35, 40 range of recruits. We've been hitting that for a little bit now, pretty consistently, and that's because we have 8 full-time people, right? So 2 of them are consistent double-digit recruiters, us, and then usually somebody else steps up and double-digit recruits, and then throughout the rest of them, they combine, make up the difference, right? So we know if we want to recruit 60 people, what do we have to have? We have to have 4 double-digit recruiters, consistent double-digit recruiters, right? Which means we need to grow our full-timers. Right? So anyway, that's kind of what we focus on. So I mean, if you're not double-digit recruiting, then a lot of that doesn't really matter to you. The first thing you got to do is you got to double-digit recruit, right? So raise your hand here if you picked up 10 IDAs last month personally. Picked up 10 last month on your own. Not one person?
With team or club?
No, like you picked them up. So you did like, I don't know how y'all do your IDA. So what I consider a pickup is if I do your interviews and you give me your IDA, you might be for old boy, but I picked you up.
Yeah.
So you like personally were responsible for getting 10 plus people to sign their IDAs. Chris, I'm sharing this. That's it. That's crazy. Right? So number one, you're never going to build anything if you're not personally responsible for picking up 10. 10 is nothing, guys. Like the last 3 months in a row, I've been responsible for picking up like 20 plus. Like me, them signing with me, 20 plus, right? So if you're not doing at least 10, you're not even doing the minimums, right? So how do you recruit 10 people in a month, right? Can anybody tell me? You need to be sitting with 10 people first times in a week, right? Because the numbers are this, right? If you're doing 10 first-time interviews in a week, in a month, that's 40. So in our system, all 40 of those people get scheduled back for a second-time interview to talk about the IBA, the process, and the training. Half of those people show up. So now I have 20 that show up, and then from 20 of them that I sit down and I go through the training process, all that kind of stuff, half of that's going to come back. So now I got 10 IDAs. So if I want to recruit 10 personal people this month, right, if I want to be responsible for picking up 10 IBAs this month, then I need to sit down and at least do 10 first-time presentations this week. And if I miss that this week and I only do 8, then next week I got to do what?
12.
And I just keep rolling. It's a rolling count. And that's how I never miss double-digit recruiting. That's how I always pick up my 10 because I know what I got to carry over. And if you don't do that, I can tell you just by your numbers exactly where you're at. I can tell you how many people you met with. I can tell you all that stuff if you just tell me what you personally recruited. So until you get that down, you're never going to be able to teach anybody else. Which I'm surprised not one person did. That's nuts, right? That's crazy, you know. But that's really ultimately how you recruit 40, 50 people because if you can pick up 10, 15 on your own, you can get a couple guys to pick up 10, 15. I mean, next thing you know, it's just compounding effect, right? Power multiplication. So that's what I had. Again, trade-in prep is too much, but if there's anything you guys want to ask us, we're definitely down to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So as far as the competition and stuff, so I've heard other people from Triple C say that as far as like weekly events, weekly competition stuff. Is that what you got from that culture and brought it, or were you guys like the spark over there or is that just a culture that's there already?
That's culture that's there. Like,
Okay.
Everything I have is like original. I stole it.
Yeah. Okay.
All of it.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool. It's cool. You don't have to be, nothing in this business is like original. You know what I mean? We just take it from somebody and we roll with it, right? So all those contests, all the stuff that we do, we've gotten from Whitney and Rob. And so it was a culture of everybody was going after each other. You know what I mean? Everybody was going after each other's throat. And we loved it. You know what I mean? And we still do that in our base shop, right? You can walk through my base at any time and hear somebody say, like, I'm gonna take you out. Where your numbers at? Like at any point, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, hey, is that number 2 talking to me? Oh, you know what I mean? Like that's happening all through my office all day.
Yeah.
I'm bringing an interview back. Like, how was your day? And they're like, oh, I'm gonna freaking dominate you, right? Oh, don't listen to that. Come on, it's okay, right? Like, you don't put you in that trouble, right? So that's happening at all times. It's culture. Yeah.
Well, what are your guys' standard times? I think we have like 8 full-timers on your team. What does that mean?
So Primerica is their sole income provider, right? So they no longer have any other source of income, right? And there's full-time FULL, and then there's full FOL, right? So I say we have 8 full-timers. That doesn't mean everybody's doing the numbers, but full-time means you're there by 9 o'clock in the morning, right? So you're there by 9 a.m. You're getting 50 plus commits a week, and a commit for us is a first-time interview schedule. So my guys schedule 50 first-time interviews a week, right? So if you think about that, that's 8 full-time people. That's 400 interviews that are scheduled a week in my office, 1,600 a month.
Wow.
Right? So you wonder why you're not recruiting 40, 50 people. You you probably didn't have 1,600 people scheduled in. You know. So that's really that's full time, and then obviously full time KTs. And again, I'm not too strict on the KTs. I think you got to make money here, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think full timers need to have 8 to 12 KTs scheduled a week. You know, if you're a full time person, because you know 50% are going to cancel, right? So if you have 12, you make it on 6, you close 3, you're closing 3 a week, you're closing 12 a month, and you're like the biggest badass in Primerica, right? But if you at least have 8, make it on 4, close 1 to 2, you know, you're closing 5, you know, 6,000 in premium a month, and you're staying with flow, right? Because you have to stay in business long enough to build business.
Right.
So, but again, I'm not too much of a stickler on that. If my guys can survive, whatever, all I focus on is recruiting every single day.
You know, the KTs that are with your recruiting. Now we have difference between our full time and our team captains as far as our standard.
Right, yeah, so full timers, I mean, they just want, they have to be there every day, it's their only source of income, they gotta get their permits, right? And they gotta be every week, that's a full timer. Now, past that, team captains have a different standard, like they have to set a KT a day, a minimum, you know what I mean? So I don't know if they're setting a KT a day, but at least 77, and most of them will set 2 or 3, and they'll have their KTs, and they'll make money, and they'll lead the example, and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I just want them to be getting their sets, because I know if they're getting their sets, the interviews will come through the door, which in return, they'll get the KTs.
When you go prospecting, how do you go about that? There's all different types of prospecting.
Yeah. So I do face-to-face prospecting. Yeah, there's all kinds. Like we teach social media prospecting, but I'm too. Like, if you notice, like the whole time I've been up here, I've been monitoring. Yeah, I'll do face-to-face. I can't sit there behind a computer.
Yeah, this is weird, of course. But like, I'm saying that, how do you approach this?
Yeah, so I would go. So I go talk to anywhere. So anywhere I can legally walk in and them not ask me like what I'm doing there. Like I go talk. That's where I go. So I go to restaurants. I go to retail stores. I go anywhere where there's people, and then I'll go out and I'll talk to them. And so like to give me kind of like a little verbiage.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Verbiage, right? So I would say, you know, hey, what's your name? Caleb Bouquet, right? Caleb Bouquet. Nice to meet you, brother. Hey, I just had a quick question. I work with a company in the area that's going through a really large expansion. We're looking for some really good people. You look obviously really sharp. Is this your only current job right now?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Are you like a college student, or are you just working here? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to college right now. I'm trying to get my bachelor's in business.
Nice, awesome. And so the reason I was asking, like I said, we're going through a really large expansion, looking for sharp guys just like yourself. Would you or anybody you know be keeping your options open to earn some extra additional part-time income, or maybe even for a career change if the money was right?
Yeah, I mean, this part-time job is it's not working out too well for me. It kind of gets in the way of doing college and stuff.
Got you, pays the bills, but kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, what's a good contact number where I can give you a call and set up a quick 30 to 45-minute interview?
Okay, what is it exactly?
We're actually an asset management company, but of course, I know right now you're getting paid, so it'd be kind of unethical for me to sit here and talk to you about the company that I'm working with. But I mean, I wouldn't mind setting aside 30 to 45 minutes, just saw a sharp guy, figured I'd say, hey, what's up, and see if you might be interested. But you are interested?
Yeah.
Awesome, very cool. What's the best number to reach you at? Cool, not good.
Smooth. Good.
So what if like someone is really persistent on asking you, the company's name and stuff like that, and then you give them the name, and then they do like reviews and searching on their own
Reviews, you see when you
and
search.
stuff, and they
Mhm.
leave those reviews what they've seen online, because I mean obviously some of them are fake, some of them are not. So basically, like that's the one thing I love about Primerica is like this face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
What would you do or say to that person to get them away from the reviews they read online to the point where they're meeting you exactly to learn everything from a real life person from talking to them?
Okay. Yeah, so it's different. Like so some people don't say Primerica. I do. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're Primerica.
Absolutely.
That's what we are, right? So
Right.
We're Primerica, right? And then if they do reviews, I don't know who finds all these bad reviews, but you're looking for them. You'll find exactly what you're looking for. You know what I mean? If you're looking for, is this a credible company? That's what you'll find, because when you put in Primerica, 9 times out of 10, what pops up? Like the Primerica website, POL, the stock, like
Mhm.
that's the stuff that comes up. So if you're looking at this credible company, you'll see they have a like website, very well put together. This guy obviously didn't make it in his closet, right? Or his friggin', you know what I mean, his house, right? They've got they're publicly traded, right? They have this, they have that. Cool, they're credible. But if you're like the D-bag that's looking for the reason like not to come in, then you'll find it. You'll scroll past that and then you'll see, oh, there's that blog or that guy that paid us $125 and didn't get licensed that's angry. So now if they, you know what I mean, like that's, you know what I mean, if that's what they're looking for, that's what they're gonna find. Like, you know what I mean? So
Now, once they have that conversation with me, they're like, David, you know, I'm seeing all this stuff. Then I'll have a conversation with them. Well, hey, obviously, all great things are hated. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to like what we do, right? Search Jesus right now. Boom, pull up Jesus. How many sites are there with Jesus? Lots of them, right?
Mhm.
And if you put hate Jesus, there's a bunch of those too. Bunch of
Right.
hate Jesus. Can we be agreeing Jesus is a pretty good guy? Yeah. You know, regardless if you believe in the faith or not, a pretty good guy. But there was a bunch of people that hated him. Search puppies right now. Lots of websites for puppies. If you put hate puppies, a bunch of websites for people that hate puppies.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean?
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
call it puppy, right? But you know what I mean? But you know, people just hate stuff. You know what I mean? So that just because they hate it doesn't mean it's not going to be right for you. You know what I mean? And then I'll explain to them, this is a blog, not a credible website. Hey, you want to look at some credible stuff? I'll show them the credible stuff. And at that point, it's their decision, man. I can't fix stupid. You know what I mean? You can't. Like, ultimately, you got to start going with your gut and not your Google. And
Yeah.
that's what our generation needs to figure out. Real
Absolutely.
fast. You got to trust your gut, not your Google. And everybody wants to Google everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And go ahead and Google it. I mean, there's good stuff out there if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for the bad, you're going to find it. And that's what I just tell them. You just got to be involved with people.
Especially if you're like in your warm market, you know, what I mean, you can just be honest with them and say, hey man, I feel like I don't know what I did to make you feel that I would actually scam you or I'll put you in a position that will harm you or your family. Like, do you think I'm that type of person? My integrity gave me to be in something that I knew was wrong.
I think that's what happened with her when I was talking to a friend and he was literally off the back because they were like, oh, these sound like a scam, sound like a kind of scheme. And literally I did not know how to approach him with all of this, but he was just attacking with all the negative stuff. And the more I tried to convince him, it would be like more and more respectful. Which is like, you know, why are you trying to convince me about something that I'm already knowledgeable about? It's going to be a scam.
Well, your job is not to convince anybody. So that's not. So number
Right.
one, don't try to convince anybody. You know what I mean? That's not your job, right? Your job is to show them and then let them make a decision. So don't try to convince
That's
anybody.
what I told him.
And number two, how long have you been here?
I've been working with this school for 4 years.
So 4 years?
With him for 4 years.
No. How long have you been in front
Oh, here just 4 or 5 days.
5 days, cool. So the number one thing you could do, right? Again, you've only been here 5 days, so you might not have had this conversation yet. Is get them in front of your leader, right? Don't try to explain everything. At 5 days, you don't know everything and all the ins and outs and stuff to be able to explain it properly. You know what I mean? So that was one thing that I noticed between the people that came here and really had an explosion, and the people that came here and it really took them a long time. Is the ones that come here and have an explosion are the people that are, you know, really good at creating interest and not giving information, right? So
That's good.
Hey, I think you have some really good points. I'm still new. I just started working with the company. Obviously, I'm excited about it, but I mean, you are my friend. You brought up some really good points. Let me have you sit down with the lady that recruited me or the person that sat with me and see if they can answer them. Because I want to know these answers too. And then get them.
Said that exact same thing and wasn't expecting him to come today, but I mean, some people just get those cold feet, and so I was like, okay, might as well.
Follow
Yep.
up. And eventually, if it's time, it's the right time. If not, then you
The
don't show.
one
But
thing
as
I
long as
do
you get
love,
that, you're good.
the one thing I do love, which Michael also like works on really hard for us to know, is like we are not a selling company, we're like an education, right? So we try to educate people. So when that's literally what I told them at their last point, like, please, sleep on that, think about it.
Yeah, so let's sleep on it. Like I said, if he's a buddy of yours, just keep following up, and eventually, if it's the right time, it's the right time. If not, then there's somebody else out there. There's 9.7 million people in Dallas Fort Worth.
Yep. That's good. Good stuff.